Story 1. How much our partner's pain affects us. Speaking for myself, I am expected to be the strong one and keep a positive attitude for her sake in times of her suffering, and I am totally faking it. When things are bad for her, I feel absolutely awful inside. Story 2. I told my long-term girlfriend that I got molested, and she stopped having sex with me and seemed to lose a lot of respect for me. So, in the future for me, done telling them that. Edit. This is an ex now, by the way. Story 3. What are you thinking about? Nothing. I'm just tired. Miles away. Zoned out. Yes, we're probably stressing about a number of things, but we're not going to share. However, it's more than likely that we won't share with our male friends either. Story 4. How often we imagine what we would do if someone were threatening us or our loved ones. For example, imagining a home invader showing up after you hear a funny noise in your house, and then looking around the room and figuring out what you would use as a weapon. Then playing out a scene of fighting them off in your head in great detail. Story 5. Actually, your behind does look big in that. Your behind looks big in everything. That's because you have a big behind, which I love looking at and wouldn't change for anything in the world. But I'm not going to say any of that out loud because I know what you want to hear me say. Story 6. If you give us a compliment, we will remember it for months, maybe even years. Be honest with us. Do not hide stuff and do not lie about it. We would rather disagree than be gaslit and find out later. If we often seem closed off or stoic, it is not because we do not have emotions. On the contrary, we feel things and feel them deeply, but we are often afraid to actually be vulnerable and express those feelings. Reason being, when we are frank about how we feel, 1. It is almost a guarantee that those feelings will be weaponized and used against us at a later time. If what we are feeling is in any way negative or upsetting, we run the risk of upsetting you. At which point our feelings are brushed aside, and we have to flip to consolation mode and comfort you over how our feelings made you feel. In a worst-case scenario, our feelings are dismissed on the grounds that patriarchy and misogyny mean that women's feelings are always more important because women are marginalized and oppressed and have it worse in every possible way than the men playing life on easy mode. After all of this plays out a few times, we learn fast. If we have feelings, it is safer and easier on everyone if we just clam up and shove it down and do whatever it takes to keep the women in our lives happy because we prize peace and harmony more so than a free expression of emotion that is only going to circle back and bite us. And this means we stew and we repress and we bottle it all up. Forever. All men are individuals. But I promise you that this is something we all have in common. Story 7. In the lie about a lot category height. Even to other males. I'm male. An honest 5 feet 10 inches and change. And I can't tell you how many 6 feet tall men I've met who are shorter than me. Always found that strange since we can all literally see the liar's height. Story 8. It's sad that a common answer is men aren't communicating their feelings to their significant others. I feel that is essential to a healthy relationship. I couldn't imagine being in a relationship without open communication and baring our souls. Story 9. Their secret sandwich. Basically, after you have been married or together for so long that you know everything about each other, a man needs his own private thing that only he knows. Like once a week, he stops by this one special place and orders, eats a really good sandwich. His own little secret. Story 10. That spider I picked up and threw out the window? I dropped it on the carpet before I got there. Did it look like I was hamming it up when I flung it outside? No. Story 11. That I literally want to hug at all times. This girl at work, she's older than me. I'm 33 male. She's 46. But she's extremely attractive and we talk all the time before I had my route changed. She made a joke about whether I wanted a hug and I said no, huge lie, because I was at work and I don't know what her intentions could be. But it crushed me to say no. I haven't had a hug from anyone, let alone the opposite sex, since COVID started. And I really needed/wanted one. My point being is the amount of physical affection we want but turn down because of various reasons of the moment. Story 12. Everything about our feelings. Once you open up, you are no longer considered a man. That's what our society has been instilling in our minds for our entire lives. Additionally, I personally know a guy who cried in front of his girlfriend when he was informed that his father had just died in an accident. She broke up with him because, to her, he was no longer a man. They had been together for 6 years at that point. We do have feelings, and we are much worse at dealing with them because we have no idea how to do so. Story 13. Personally, absolutely nothing, and I feel like there are a lot of men who should do the same. Forget stigmas, our feelings are valid and should be talked about openly if you want to. Story 14. How much pain I am in. Obviously. If people push, I jokingly say, if I talked about that, nobody else would get a chance to talk. And nobody wants that, ha ha ha. Story 15. Our fears about the future, including concerns about aging, the trajectory of our careers, or potential future health issues, and so on. Our past, especially events involving other women or adventurous activities we participated in with friends. Our body image issues. The concept of the dad bod has received considerable attention over the past 9 years, but many of us are self-conscious about our physiques and wish to be in better shape. It's just a bit difficult for various reasons. Not impossible, but challenging for some. Story 16. Height. One of my stepbrothers says he's 6 feet, or 183 centimeters for those using the metric system. He and my mom are the exact same height though. She's 5 feet 5 inches, or 165 centimeters. Last time I was there, when he said that, I called my uncle, who is actually 6 feet tall, and asked him how tall he was again. He explained how 5 feet 5 inches is basically 5 feet 10 inches, which is the same thing as 6 feet, so he's actually 6 feet tall. Story 17. A lot of the time, what I want to say isn't going to be very considerate of their feelings, but it's what they need to hear in order to either solve something or grow as a person. If I don't feel like they would accept it well, I stay quiet. Story 18. We do not usually open up to women because of the tendency of women to brush our feelings aside, ignore us, or blame us. If we open up to a woman, we know we are also opening up to all of her friends, so we prefer to open up to other men. Story 19. Liking them. Most men do not like you, but they do want to engage in sexual activities with you. They will lie about liking you, caring about you, loving you, or sharing interests with you. Some of them will even lie about what they will do for or with you. Story 20. When we're asked what we are thinking about and we reply with, nothing, I don't really want to have to explain that my mind has gone on a tangent and I'm recalling obscure statistics of cricket players from the 90s. Story 21. Our interest in why Sharon at work is overly inquisitive and really bothered you today. And guess what Tracy said out loud at lunch? I really just want to turn off my mind, watch the latest episode of Vice Grip Garage, and stare into the beautiful TV. Story 22. You know when women say it's fine, but it's not? Men work that way too, and it is for you. Your man is as terrified as a child of losing the only other woman who will treat him as well in this world as his own mother. And that's the truth. Story 23. Their own mental health or their own problems or insecurities. We are always okay because we cannot show any sign of weakness. If we do, it's the start of the end of a relationship or marriage. Story 24. We did not misunderstand and think the dinner started 30 minutes earlier than it did. You were just late all the time and we got tired of being late with you. Story 25. I have been told so many times that men have it easier, and that has been thrown in my face a lot. Everything from being socially easier to being easier to stay fit as a man. So, we do not talk about our experiences and how they affect us. Story 26. In my experience, it's that most men seem to always lust after what they can't have. Every man I've been with gets bored. But I don't think it's a me problem. Life in the bedroom always dies. But it's never because of anything I'm doing or not doing, they just lose interest. I've actually studied it a good bit, and I think it has to do more with the kind of person someone is and the kind of goals they make. If you look it up, when there's a goal you're working towards, dopamine steadily builds, and at the point you reach the goal, such as getting into a relationship, honeymoon stage, or a wedding, you get that rush of dopamine and sense of accomplishment. And then, for most people, it plummets. You have to constantly be mindful that you're always working to build a stronger and healthier relationship in order to maintain dopamine. If your head's not in it, you've got a dead relationship and you're going to want something else that you wouldn't actually be happy with either. Story 27. I've been married for 16 years and have 2 children, and I still don't really believe my wife loves me, despite all evidence. This is a problem with me, not with her, but it's true. Story 28. I think most of us find things like long fake nails, long fake eyelashes, and lip injections ridiculous and garish. However, you guys really don't take it well if we mention it. We appreciate the things that make you unique, not the things you do to look like some kind of peculiar imitation. If you do these things for yourself or to impress other women, that's great. Just don't blame men or society for the beauty standards. It's a women's issue. Story 29. I think men can be seen as defensive or egotistical when they aren't trying to be. I don't know if this holds up, but someone explained to me that in ancient societies, being a woman is enough because you have value in childbearing and childbirth. A woman who never leaves her home and bears a child is still an essential component of civilization. Humans weren't always monogamous. In other primate societies, the top few males will father almost all of the children. The male primate who is not at the top of their hierarchy doesn't have much value in his society. He's kind of just a body until he can do something to prove he's valuable and worthwhile. I think this is baked into male DNA, and I heard it's why you have to treat male and female depression differently. Women sometimes just need reassurance and to be told they have value and are loved. Guys won't believe it unless they prove it to themselves. That's why competitive video games, working on cars, hunting, and fishing are relaxing activities for guys, despite being difficult, skill-based challenges. Men need to perform a skill or exercise a capability to feel like they're worth something. That's why your husband always wants to try and fix a problem himself before he calls a professional for help. He's not trying to be stubborn or egotistical. If you call the handyman first, your husband feels worthless. He's not trying to be difficult, he just needs purpose and meaning, or he feels like a waste of space. Story 30. Okay, some of you have to be lying because I can't send a guy a hey text without getting a comprehensive list of all his traumas and insecurities in response. Story 31. To get my husband to tell me how he's doing is like pulling teeth. He can tell me anything. I have to ask specific questions to get any kind of answer. I would do anything for him. I hope all of you men get to express yourselves to someone.